Good morning, everyone. My name is Pierre, and I am a co-champion with the BEPSE Business Entrepreneurship Private Sector Engagement Community of Practice. And it's a pleasure to welcome you today to our first webinar for the year on equipping youth with skills and employment through public-private partnerships. I also would like to introduce my other co-champions that are Lara Goldmark and Jack Omondi. Okay. And this is a few ways you can join us on our youthpower.org website and connect and learn more and keep in touch with any future webinars that we may have. Thank you and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Evudi, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Business Entrepreneurship Private Sector Engagement Community of Practice. This is our third year, and we have these different topics. And so this year's topic is private sector engagement. Last year, we did a number of webinars on labor market assessments, how to understand what types of skills employers are looking for. And today's session is really the perfect bridge between that and, what do you do once you understand what the skills are that employers are looking for? How do you get them engaged? And go ahead and onto the next slide. I want to introduce our first speaker, Phillippa Mary. Phillippa is an expert in youth employment services and partnerships. She actually went through the Ajira digital program and then became a manager. And she is now coordinating this public-private youth partnership initiative, the Global Opportunity Youth Initiative Youth Network, and they have 80 stakeholders, public and private. So this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about it. And Phillippa has gathered several of her private sector employer representatives to talk to us this morning. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Phillippa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lara, and good morning or good evening, everyone, depending on your time zone. My name is Phillippa, and I'll be moderating this session today. Welcome to the session, and please feel free and be ready to learn, ask questions, because we'd like to have a very interactive session going forward. So before I jump into the bulk of my session, I'd like to introduce my fellow speakers. First, we're going to have Siprotha Rabach, who is the head of SAFAL MRM Foundation. This is the social investment arm of the SAFAL Group in Africa, one of our very key private sector partners who works across entrepreneurship and training and placement. So Siprotha is going to be speaking on entrepreneurship, and this stems so well with her experience, which she's previously held different board positions, including the chairperson of the Higher Def Kenya Association of Alternative Family Care, and served as a member of the National Adoption Committee for 3 years. So she also holds a master's in business administration, a degree in human resources and strategic management from Daystar University. Our second speaker is Dennis Nyagilo, who is the principal of Mabati Technical Training Institute. He is a trainer and a seasoned college administrator with a record of 14 years working with the youth. He's passionate about mentoring young people and to spur social and economic development through his training experience. We also have Joan Cargo, who is the senior training officer from Base Titanium, one of our private sector partners as well, who's going to be specifically speaking about recognition of prior learning as an access point to employment. She's a technical expert in this area. She's been awarded very high commendation for the Michael Kelly Outstanding Student Award in 2018. She sits on the Chartered Institute of Personnel Development, People Award Management and Board, and this has really been instrumental in her efforts in Base Titanium, with the graduate trainee program as the only nominee in Africa. So we will get into the presentation where I would like to give you a background of the work that Global Opportunity Youth Network has done in Mombasa over the last 2 years. GOYN-Mombasa is a youth employment program which works on a problem area and demand-driven approach. One of the things that we intend to do is to be part of the systemic change through looking at the over 300,000 unemployed youth in Mombasa and making sure that we are part of 10% of having this youth employed, not only through the pilot stage, but even at scale. So some of the things that we've been able to do during our demand mapping approach is that we looked at the entire sector. We initially had creative hospitality, tourism, and health sectors as priority labor market assessment areas. And what we did is that we engaged with 150 plus employers and identified over 700. And actually to date, we are about to reach over 3,000 opportunities within our stakeholder network. And one of the things that we found out is that there are quite a lot of opportunities for the youth. However, there's a lot of readiness that is required to enable the youth to be most effective, especially accessing these opportunities. So one of the areas of accessibility to employment that we have implemented is through training and placements. We identified internships and apprenticeships for the youth. We also identified a different arm of employers through master craftsmen, where the youth are able to shadow specialists in particular fields and then become experts and have an access point for economic empowerment through entrepreneurship. Then we went into training and placement, other areas like recognition of prior learning, which we've just launched. And one of our most successful initiatives is the Mombasa multi-stakeholder public-private youth partnership, because the youth are really at the center of the solution that we're trying to create here in Mombasa and even at a national and global level. So some of the ways that we've been able to prepare the youth and the market for these particular opportunities is to have employability skills training. We do this at mass at GOYN to enable each of the youth who pass into our database are able to have the soft skills required for job retention, because we have already solved the aspect of job, finding a job. But now we want to make sure that when these youth actually get the opportunities, how well are they retained in this opportunity? We also have an upcoming mentorship component, and our most successful, as I mentioned, is the collaboratives component through the multi-stakeholder to date. Next slide. So one of the key things that really aligns with our theme today is basically looking at how we've been able to link the private sector to the youth within our network. We not only do this as GOYN, but we do it as all the stakeholders you can see here. So this multi-stakeholder network is co-coordinated through a HR secretariat, which is hosted at GOYN-Mombasa through our anchor partner, Swahili Port Hub. We coordinate this with Generation Unlimited through the Office of the President, UN Kenya, USAID Empowered Youth, and UNICEF. And together we've been able to bring together 80 plus stakeholders consistently over a period of 1 year. And now we are just getting into being able to roll out employment at scale. We aim to target by the end of June, which is going to be the end of our first year of operation, to have 1,000 opportunity youth, as we like to call them, linked to different opportunities. We've created partnerships with very key stakeholders, as you can see here, Juakali Association, because we see that a lot of opportunities are hosted within the blue economy, not only the blue economy, but other economy drivers within the sector. So we work across the sector. We have training and placement partners because we believe that skilling is the actual pathway to employment, and we look forward to being able to scale these access points, as you'll hear from our private sector partners who will be presenting right after me. So next we'll have Siprosa, who will talk about entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much, Phillippa, and I welcome all our participants from across the globe to this webinar. I'm really delighted to be here to share our experiences with you today. And I hope that this webinar will be engaging. So let me start by a bit of introduction about our company. The Mabati Technical Training Institute is a project of Safale Marem Foundation. Safale Marem Foundation is the philanthropic arm of Mabati Rolling Mills, which is one of the, the oldest steel companies in Kenya. So what we do at the foundation through the project based in the coastal region is our training institute is aimed at preparing youth for self-employment. We started in almost 20 years ago, and since then we have trained close to 12,000 youth. And most of these youth who have gone through our training institute have actually secured or transitioned into employment, immediately after graduating from our training institute. Some of the courses that we offer are, technical vocational training, technical vocational skills courses that are, aimed at preparing young people to, acquire skills that are needed in the labor market. And not only that, but also allows them to, establish their own businesses. Next slide, please. So entrepreneurship is an alternative route to employment for youth in Mombasa. Why do I say so? Since we have been training for almost 2 decades, we realized that the training that are offered in a technical training institute prepares young people with desirable skills and attitudes that allows them to use those skills not only to be employees, but allows them to provide services to their communities, and those services then allows them to become employers. So strong linkages with local industry players is desirable, because to become an entrepreneur, you have to identify opportunity and a need within the community which you feel. So most of the young people who we train mentored to identify those opportunities in the communities, so that when they get out of training, then they're able to provide services through their skills, or provide services through their skills as entrepreneurs to meet the needs of their communities. And that way they actually quantify and use those skills to start their businesses and earn a living. At Mabati Technical Training Institute, what we do is our training has also integrated business development services, where we guide youth in entrepreneurship, because we believe that not all the youth who are going through technical training, skills training, will become entrepreneurs, but those who want to be entrepreneurs then must have additional skills that will enable them to understand how to, to manage their own businesses. And this does not actually come immediately. There's continuous support and coaching, and this has been integrated in our training program. One of the key aspects that allows trainees who actually get into entrepreneurship after training is a good understanding of how to sell and market themselves. So this has been done over the years by supporting these young people, training them on how to brand themselves, training them with additional skills on customer service, negotiation skills, personal branding, and just continuous coaching and mentorship by those who are already in a specific businesses in the areas that they've trained in, to be able to, support them to acquire additional skills and competencies. Another critical aspect of entrepreneurship as an alternative is these young people must be able to access, finances, because as an entrepreneur, you must have some investment. The biggest investment that young people are coming with are the skills that they've been given. But if, for example, if a young person wants to become an entrepreneur and does not have, enough capital, then it is important that they are given the opportunity to access some grants. And what we do at the Mabati Technical Training Center is through our partnership with most of our networks, we have managed to allow these youth to access grants or toolkits that enhances their opportunities or capacities to be able to provide services using their skills. So credit is also important, and also integration or linkages with the financial service providers to enable them to access credit. Next slide, please. Career counselors should be able to support young people to identify their interests and capabilities to get into entrepreneurship. Why do I say this? Young entrepreneurs still face a number of challenges. One of the challenges is financial service providers only give credit to young people with the track or people with track record. So imagine a young person coming out of training without collateral and no business acumen will find it very difficult. So I think some of these are the major challenges that we've seen over the years. Young people are not able to access credit, even if they had beautiful business plans. Business also in Kenya, from our experience, is a little bit, too bureaucratic to establish a business. So, the processes of establishing a business, are really long and sometimes quite bureaucratic, and the young people find it a bit difficult to, navigate through these systems. There's also a myth associated with entrepreneurship. People believe that for you to become an entrepreneur, you must be having a lot of money, or you must put in a lot of investments. So these are some of the challenges, but I'm happy to say that at Mabati Technical Training Institute, we have established linkages with our networks, our suppliers, to take in young people who are getting out of our training institute, either as apprentices to work with them, to allow them to learn the ropes, so that by the time they leave this, apprentices, then they're able to, to stand on their own. So yes, entrepreneurship is an alternative, route to employment, but a lot of work is still needed to just enhance the capacities of these young people to be able to become good entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve Foster. I'll encourage also our guests to put in their questions on the chat, and then we'll be able to answer them at the end of the presentation. So next we'll have Dennis, who will be speaking on the access point of skilling and employment. Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, Phillippa. Good evening, everyone. Now, from Mabati, let's move to the next slide. Next slide. Now, I'll be talking about employment context in Mombasa. And for you to be able to understand the context, you need to at least, first of all, know the percentage of youths who live in Mombasa. Around 46% are youths living in Mombasa. And from this percentage, you realize that 65% of them are not employed. Now, this is extremely high. And because of that, it is denying Mombasa County the benefits that these youths should be able to offer it in terms of labor and other things. Last year, a labor market assessment was done by USAID Empowered Youth Project, which showed that the jobs are there and actually private sector were willing to offer it. The challenge was that many youths lack the relevant skills which were required for these jobs. So what we do in Mabati Technical Training Institute, which most training institutes have not adapted, is try to understand the kind of skill sets required by the private sector and the employers, so that this is what we give the youths to ensure that they meet the current labor demands in Mombasa County. Let's move to the next slide. So how are we preparing our youth for employment? One thing we do at the point of entry, we do an assessment to our potential trainees to determine the kind of interests and the kind of attitudes they have, so that we get to understand where they're coming from. The reason why we do this is because Mabati Technical Training Institute is located in the outskirts of Mombasa, and the community around that area is not well endowed financially or economically. And that's basically why it was set up as a CSRM of Mabati Rolling Hills, and it has helped us capture these youths who are vulnerable in one way or the other, and bring them into college and give them the kind of skills which they require to get empowered so that they can get jobs outside there. Another thing we do is we emphasize more on practical training than the theory. So what we have done is that our training goes hand in hand with production work, in a way that when we do that, we are able to train, give the skills, at the same time do the actual work which the employers would prefer, because these production units are income generating activities within our institute, and we are working with students to get an income, which part of it is paid to them as a source of employment, as a source of income to them. And in one way or the other, they are on training, and at the same time, we have been able to employ them within our institute to do one or two through our work study program. Another thing which we have ensured to do to ensure that our youths are ready for employment is that all courses, regardless of which profession they're taking, they must undergo a mandatory ICT training to ensure that their computer skills are somehow good, so that whenever they leave our training institution, their proficiency in the use of computer is intended with the kind of jobs they're going to experience outside there. And this one also, we have partnered with Ajira Digital, which is a government initiative, which tries to focus on the features of work. They have given a platform where you can actually access work online, and with that, they are able to earn an income as time goes by. Again, we invite guest trainers from time to time from diverse fields, and these guest trainers come in to share the practical experience, and at the same time, they act as mentors to our students. With this, we find that we give the students hope, and we also encourage them to work hard to acquire the skills which they would need when they go outside there. Also, as at TTI, we encourage our instructors to have a continuous trainer development program in a way that their skill sets will be in tandem with what the market is offering, so that they don't lag behind. So during our holiday season, some would go for further training, others would go to the industries themselves, get attached there for a month or two to learn the new things in the market, because as we all know, is that the market sector, the technologies keep on changing, and that's how we ensure that the kind of skills we give our youth is what actually the employers would want. Next slide. So we have some strategies which we use to ensure that the kind of employment we seek for our youth is demand driven. One thing we do, we try to match our trainees with potential employers. And how do we do this? Through the labor market assessments, what we do is we assess what the industry wants. And from time to time, we also try to know where the jobs are. Because from the labor market assessment, the report tells us there's a lot of jobs out there, only that we don't know which sector. So with this, we are able to know which areas we are able to put our youths so that we give them skills in those areas and they get the jobs immediately. Another thing we do is we ensure that our trainees go through internship after our class training. This enhances their practical skills. And at the same time, you realize that through the internship, they get to learn those things which they might have not captured in class. And this makes them ready for employment. Then another thing our TTI is doing, or Mabati Technical Training has been doing, is that we have what we call the career advisory services, which try to direct the youth to the relevant sectors with more employment opportunities. Because most of them, when they come in, they don't know where the jobs are, and we are able to advise them on that. Apart from that, we do regular mentorship and guidance to the young people to enable them acquire desirable skills to develop themselves through our unique system of education, which is a preventive system of education. And with this, we tell them that despite the economic hardship or the vulnerabilities they are coming from, there's hope. And we do it with love, respect, and kindness. So we work with them step by step. And again, the last thing, we also provide industry upskilling trainings, which help us to capture those who are already in the industry, but they're underskilled. So we bring them on board, we train them, and empower them, then send them back to the market so that they are able to improve on their income and also reduces what you call underemployment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We do have some questions on the chat, so please keep them coming. We'll be setting them aside and sharing with each of the panelists to answer the questions. So next we have Joanne Cargo, who will be speaking on a fairly new access point to employment, recognition of prior learning. Welcome, Joanne.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Cargo. My apologies. I'm having a little bit of technical issues with my camera, so please allow me to engage you as it is. So I'm the Senior Training Officer at BEPSE Titanium, and I'm very passionate about skills for employability. And we look after programs for our employees and the community, in terms of ensuring that we have a ready-made skills people for the business needs and also for consumption with the larger market. So if we could move to the next slide. I would like to speak about the recognition of prior learning, which is fairly new in the country. And this is something that is a program that is being run with the Kenya National Qualifications Authority and a qualification awarding institution, which is the National Industrial Training Authority, amongst others. And it has been well funded by the International Labour Organization as we do a pilot for this. So the first pilot we did was in May 2021, where we had 36 participants. And the next pilot that was done was in December 2022. And there are plans on how we're going to see the rollout of this program countrywide. So the recognition of prior learning is majorly looking at one's skills and knowledge and what they have learned over the years and assessing them in that. So unlike the traditional learning where you go to school for 3 months or 6 months or something like that, recognition of prior learning is basically coming to identify or accredit you for the skills you've had over the years, and all you need to do is just get assessed for that, for the skills you've learned on the job or somewhere where in the informal sector or the formal sector, and you've not had a chance to go to the learning institution to study. So in a way, it's a shortcut to not going to school, but it's not a shortcut per se, because you have to understand the prerequisites of what that trade you want to be tested in entails. So in BEPSE Titanium, we took up this recognition of prior learning as a way of saying thank you to our employees for the service they have given us over the years. And as we wind up, we want to make sure that we are providing them with a platform that can give them future job bargains and also an entry into the market labor. Remember, every organization has people who have been working in certain positions, but they have mastered the skills and they don't have any papers. So we sat down as an organization and said, let's help them, let's pay for them, and let's see how this will work. So it's majorly recognition of skill sets at the workplace or the work area. And what we want to have out of this is to ensure that people are going to transition with professional certificates in their respective trades. When I speak about trades, I'm looking at the technical and the administrative skills. For the technical, we're looking at arc welding, gas welding, carpentry, masonry, and such. And currently, what is being done for the recognition of prior learning in the country on the administrative or the soft skills, I would say it's tailoring. So they're still developing curriculum and assessments for the recognition of prior learning. So what does recognition of prior learning then do to an individual? It also builds one's self-confidence in terms of when you're going to negotiate for a job, you feel you are in the level that you are required because you do have an assessment paper or a certificate or a qualification that you can be able to share during interviews when you're required to demonstrate if you have knowledge beyond what you're saying. So the confidence is one of the things that most people would lack, because in an interview you're told you're a carpenter, but how can you be able to prove this? But in the event that you have a paper, then it gives you an upper hand even in negotiating your salary and negotiating a position in collaboration with or in conjunction with the paper that you have. It also helps into transitioning either the informal or formal employment because you have a paper with you now. It also encourages a lot of decent pay because, as you know, the Kenyan system, most of the places when you go to ask for a job, if you don't have a certificate, chances are you will be downgraded in terms of your pay. But if you do have a certificate, people are able to give you the kind of salary you might be asking for. And lastly, it's a long life learning. A recognition of prior learning does not end with the first assessment. You continue adding into your skills as you move forward. And the more you add skills or you add a new trade into your career, you can still go and get tested and get your grade. Currently, we are looking at grade 3, grade 2, and grade 1, but grade 3 is not part of recognition of prior learning because it is an entry for everyone. So if you feel you have what it takes, then you can go into the recognition of prior learning program and you can be nominated under grade 2 and grade 1. The beauty about recognition of prior learning is you don't have to have papers. You don't have to have a KCSE, a KCPE, or any education background. All you have to have is your skills and knowledge in the trade that you'd want to be assessed for. So it's an interesting project. It's an interesting program that will see a lot of people, getting the recognition and certification that they have been looking forward to. So if you could move to the next slide, please. The question that most of us would ask ourselves is then how are the assessment outcomes? How are we graded? The recognition of prior learning will grade you into 3 categories. The first one is a full qualification where your competency ranges 80% and above. That's a full qualification. You have passed all your papers. The second qualification is a part qualification, where you have you are able to score 50% and above, 50%, and you get a partial qualification. And the last one is a statement of attainment. It's a competency below 50% of all the major qualifications. When we speak about a full qualification, we are looking at your theory and practical aspect, and you score 80%. And when we look at, and you are well-rounded in whatever trade that you want to be assessed on. The partial qualification, we are looking at the same theory and practical, and maybe you have been able to show an understanding on either at a certain level. And the last one is on the statement of attainment. I would want to choose an example of somebody who's going in to be assessed on a mechanic, and they find that you are more visible in engine repair rather than the whole trade. So instead of you being told you're not competent, then you are given a statement of attainment, probably in engine repair. So at the end of the day, what we're trying to say with the recognition of prior learning is no one is left behind. Everybody will transition out with an academic paper in whichever 3 levels that I have spoken about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I can see the interaction has begun. So we'll use a bottom-up approach for the questions that we're seeing on the chat. So the first question is to you, Joanne. So I'll put them together. Could you say again what government agency or program recognizes, certificates, or certifies prior learning? And how is it that the industry, which means the employers, trust this certificate?
Thank you, Phillippa. Currently, as I mentioned, we are doing a pilot. So we are in collaboration with the National Industrial Training Authority as the qualifying awarding institution, and the Kenya National Qualification Authority, which is the governing body in this. We come in as an employer whereby we bring in the people who are interested in pursuing this certificate. That certificate that they're asking how credible it is credible because it's a Kenyan institution, and this certificate is not only recognized in the National Industrial Training Authority. Remember, the National Industrial Training Authority is they set a national paper. So it's a paper that you can walk in any organization, or you can use it in any country, because again, you're looking at skills mobility, and the National Industrial Training Authority is recognized countrywide, worldwide as a training institution. So whatever kind of certification you get is purely aligned to the Kenyan system, and it's a certificate that is not questionable. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope, Aaron, that answers your question. Feel free to type in any follow-up questions you may have to that. The next question, so he says, thank you. So the next question is more of a comment and a question. I think your name is not quite clear, but you say you're working on a regional digital solution for training youth professionals internationally, providing internationally recognized certification or diplomas. So is MTTI willing to partner with a digital platform to make its courses available to a wider audience? Dennis, could you take that question?
Good proposal, and I think on the sidelines we'll have a chat and see how best we can move forward with that proposal. Then on the question about, there's a question asking me, could you say again what government program or agency recognizes or certifies prior learning? I think Joanne has answered that.
Yes, yes, she's answered that. So I can see there's a second question for you, Dennis, and it says, how do you ensure that the youth with different mental and physical capabilities can also access both training and employment opportunities? Does this work include changing perception in the private sector?
Now, for MTTI, when we look at these youths who are able differently, one thing we look at, especially those are able different in terms of the physique, we look at accessibility of our premises. We try to ensure that all obstacles are removed so that they can easily access both the classrooms, the workshop, and wherever they need to be easily without any challenge. Another thing we do what we call co-teaching. And it's a set of scenarios where a teacher with another teacher who has special needs education co-teach together to ensure that the learner gets to have or to meet the diverse scenarios of training so that they can have a feel that they are part and parcel of ourselves.
Thank you so much, Dennis. I hope the team in the backend can be able to take the contact for Dennis to be able to follow up with this partner that we have here. So then we have Siprosa, and the question is, curious how you help young people address the issue of government bureaucracy, especially when registering businesses.
Thank you, Phillippa. You know, as a foundation, you know, our role is to engage with the government and bring together all the other partners who are working in this sector to, you know, engage and lobby the government to ensure that the many barriers that limits or prevent young people from, you know, starting their businesses are removed, because young people are coming from, you know, a disadvantaged, position. So we engage in lobbying the government to influence the policies, to ensure that the many barriers are removed so that the government can simplify, you know, some of these processes. And of late, you've seen the government going, you know, digital through the Huduma Center, so you can log into the, you know, a digital space and register your business. So this came after a lot of you know, lobbying, and to ensure that young people, all the bottlenecks that really were preventing young people from, you know, or any other businesses who wants to, you know, start, you know, become entrepreneurs, you know, are removed. I think the ease of doing business is something that cannot be done individually, but it is a collaborative effort, and that is what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw a question on specific policy areas. If maybe that can be reposted, it would be an important point for us to speak on. Dennis, there's another question for you. What is the translation rate of the graduates into the labor market? Dennis?
Thank you, Phillippa. Now, let me use an example of the lot we graduated in December. We had around 105 students graduating, and out of this, to this date, we have attached 85% of that group. So meaning in terms of transition to employment, we are doing okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Any other questions, any experiences as well? Would like to make this as interactive as possible. I can see Fatma says, for me to be a member of USAID, how can I do this? Could you maybe let us know your experience with that, or how you'd maybe want to expand on that question? Partner, if you're there. Okay,
or Phillippa, I see we also have a hand raised.
Yes, Geoffrey, can you go next as we wait for partner?
Okay, thank you. Just a quick one. This is for Dennis. I was just wondering when he mentioned that they do labor market information. I was just thinking, being that we're in Mombasa, are there any courses that they do on the blue economy? Because I would think that's a quick win for the Mombasa youth. And also in the spirit of just transition, I was just thinking, what is the plan of the institution towards, TVETs for greening and that kind of thing. And I was just, top of my mind was, how then can he be able to, refocus the labor market information towards, looking at the occupational profiles within these locations. And then key is also, since he said they redesign the courses, I would like to understand the capacities of the TTI in terms of developing curricula and occupation standards. And at that level, do we really involve industry, or we go to industry with the labor market surveys at a later stage? Thank you, and over.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you again. Now I'll answer some of the few questions I've captured, but maybe Phillippa, as I answer, maybe help me get the last two questions you had asked. Now, the first one is on courses on blue economy. Now, when we started Mabati Technical Training Institute, most of the courses were purely technical. But since September last year, we have embarked on working on introducing courses on the blue economy. Especially, we have been thinking about coming up with courses about clearing and forwarding, shipping and logistics. And again, on the technical part, we are looking on how because we are more specialized on technical, we want to work on boat repair and other things. These programs we are talking about are still in the initial stages of design and approval from TVET before we embark on them. Then the other question was plan for transition of TVET for greening. Now, early this year, we embarked on doing what we call permaculture. Permaculture is about sustainable agriculture. So in a way, we are working on the TVET idea of greening, because we are trying to do agriculture the way it was done in the old age, where everything we do it natural, where we do composting. Apart from composting, we plant without even tilling the land, and we make it like a forest cover so that we don't interfere with the soil so much, so that we can return our soils back to the standards in which they were before.
Thank you, Dennis.
Then,
okay, go ahead.
No, send me the other question. I missed the two.
The two questions. First was the translation rate of the graduates into the labor market, which you responded to. Yes. And then there was, if you're able to digitize the courses that you have. So we've taken down that contact that you can be able to contact the person who's asking. And then you also answered, does this work include changing perceptions in the private sector?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Dennis. So we'll move forward. We have a question now from me to you, Ciprosa. This is in line with the entrepreneurship component. A lot of questions have been raised in terms of the bureaucracy within the government when starting businesses, and this is a very key access point to employment. So are there any innovative approaches, maybe future investment, expanded labor market approaches that the foundation is looking at that can really support the youth being able to experience a friendlier environment to accessing businesses? So that's one question for you each. You can have 2 minutes to respond. We move to the next speaker.
Thank you, Phillippa. I think the foundation, as I said earlier, is the philanthropic arm of, Mabati Rolling Mills and Safal Group. One of the important, strategies that can be done is to ensure that a lot more investment is increased, to expand, the local industries. Because if the local industry is not growing, then it means the opportunities become fewer. So it's very, very important that a lot of investment is put in expanding the local industry, because that will allow young people also to to do business locally, and to find more opportunities. So that's one area that I think private sector would be very, very critical, and also the government, providing an enabling environment to make, Kenya or regions like the coastal region, Mombasa, a good destination for investment. So the bigger the cake, the better for young people to get into that ecosystem and to do business, either through providing services to the various sectors, or even providing the much needed skills to meet the expanded industries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the Professor. Next, to give Dennis a chance to breathe, we'll have a question for Joanne. Joanne, I know recognition of prior learning is quite a large and new area for the youth to access opportunities, even from public and private sector employers. So, and I know you sit in a couple of these advisory committees. So any system that is being integrated towards, making this a policy, especially just, as a follow-up to the question of someone who asks how recognizable is this particular certificate to the industry, and are there any plans for policies just to ensure that the ecosystem of employers are able to adopt this certification?
Thank you, Phillippa. That's a great question. Maybe to expound on it further, as much as we are working with the two bodies I mentioned, the Ministry of Education is also part of this. And I also mentioned there earlier on that the ILO is also part of this. So a lot of work has been happening in the background, including policy and frameworks that are going to guide this whole project as it moves forward, and the recognition of prior learning rollout. So we are hoping probably before April, May, the official launch is going to be done. As I mentioned earlier, we've been doing pilots just to make sure once this thing goes out live, we have, been able to curb all the questions, all the doubts people would have about the system, because it has been tested. And just to mention, the assessment that happened in December covered around 400 participants in the pilot. The main aim is to make sure that as we bring this program in, we are also polishing ourselves in making sure that we are getting the assessments right, because there's also something that is called counseling. We are also making sure that the portfolios of evidence that people are required to provide, people have an understanding of what they're supposed to be giving. There's a lot of brainwork that is going in it. There's a council, an RPL steering committee that is spearheading this, in ensuring that a lot of sensitization is also being done. We are also in the verge of bringing in the national polytechnics in embracing this, because again, not everybody wants to take up a certificate. There are those who want to take up a diploma and all that. So there's a lot of work that is being done, but at a very careful rate, so that we don't get too excited and roll out and do provide a program that is not clear or does not speak for itself, like the fears of this certificate. So what we're trying to do is making sure that it is well aligned with the framework, and it's also well aligned with the learning outcomes that are already being utilized in the institutions. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are just trying to embrace technology, embrace the new ways, and making sure that whatever assessment is being done is also good enough for everyone. Because again, remember, some of the people who are going to participate in recognition of prior learning do not know how to read and write, but they want to be tested. So the recognition of prior learning is looking at a broader spectrum on how these people can, benefit. It's not only for those who know how to read and write. We are looking at embracing everyone. And one of the mottos I normally have is RPL, leave no one behind, because we want to touch the lives of everyone at whichever level they are. And it's not only for the youth. You'll see even the elderly are coming in because they never had an opportunity to go to a learning institution, but now they do. The youth are coming in with new technology. So the recognition of prior learning is also embracing that and making sure that their needs are also being felt and technology has been embraced. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. So we have come to the end of the Q&A session. So I will hand over the webinar session to Jack. Thank you for engaging us.
Thank you so much, Phillippa, for that interactive session. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Jack Omondi, a co-champion at the Community of Practice and living and working in Kenya, Nairobi. So I would like to thank our moderator, Phillippa, for moderating this wonderful and interactive discussion and session. I would also like to thank our speakers who are able to speak on this topic that we are discussing, Ciprosa, Nyagilo, and Joanne, for discussing how we can, how the young people can be skilled through public and private partnership. I've really learned a lot, especially on the area of TVET centers, skilling, reskilling, and upskilling the young people, and also recognition of prior learning. Thank you so much, our speakers. I would also like to thank you, our audience, for taking your time to interact with us in this discussion. Please feel free to join our discussion platform, where we are going to continue to discuss this important issue. And also, please remember that we had recorded this discussion. We will also post it on the discussion platform. I think there is a link that will be put in the chat for you to join. Also, please recognize that we have some upcoming activities that have been posted on the slide. There is one coming up. Our next webinars will be maybe from next month and the months to come. So once again, I would like to thank you so much. Feel free to contact us, contact our speakers through the discussion forum so that we are able to engage with you. Thank you so much, and good day. Thank you and good night wherever you are.